You've seen them everywhere, right? AI writing assistants like ChatGPT. They're built into our browsers, our email, pretty much everything. And they promise to make us smarter, faster, more creative. But is there a hidden cost to all this convenience? What's actually happening inside our brains when we let a machine do the thinking for us?
And that really gets to the heart of it. That's the big question we're going to dig into. Is this incredible technology just another helpful tool, like a calculator, or is it becoming a crutch, something we start to rely on so much that we forget how to walk on our own?
Well, to get some real answers, we're going to look at a fascinating study from MIT. And what's so cool about this is that the researchers didn't just ask people how they felt. No, they went a step further. They literally looked inside their brains to see the real-time impact AI has on our thinking.
Okay, so here's the setup. They put together a kind of writing showdown with 3 teams. First up, you've got Team AI, who got to use ChatGPT. In the middle, Team Search, who could only use a regular search engine. And then there was Team Brain, who had to go old school, using nothing but what was already in their heads.
So the whole experiment was pretty straightforward. Everybody wrote a few short essays over 3 sessions, each using their assigned tool. But here's the kicker. While they were writing, the researchers were tracking everything: the quality of the essays, what people said in interviews, and, best of all, their real-time brain activity using EEG scans. Oh, and they saved a massive twist for the final session.
So, what did they find? Well, right away, something pretty surprising popped up. It turns out that how well you can write an essay with a tool and how well you actually remember what you just wrote are 2 completely different things.
And when I say different, I mean the results from the memory test were just, wow. Look at this. When they were asked to quote from the essay they had just finished writing, a massive 83% of the ChatGPT users couldn't really do it. Compare that to the other groups, only 11%. The gap is just huge.
And if you think that's bad, it gets even more stark. Guess how many of the AI users could give a perfectly correct quote? 0. A big, fat 0. Not one person. It's like, while the AI was busy generating the words, their own brains just weren't locking the information in. So you have to wonder, right? What on earth was going on inside their heads to cause a memory gap that big? Well, luckily, the EEG scans give us a window into exactly that.
Let's start with Team Brain. Think of them as hitting the cognitive gym. Their brain scans lit up. They showed the strongest, most widespread connections all over the brain. They were putting in serious mental effort, digging for memories, structuring sentences, the whole shebang. A full workout.
Team Search, they were somewhere in the middle. You could say they were doing some light cardio. Their brains were definitely more engaged than the AI group, but not working nearly as hard as the people writing from scratch. They were still doing some work, but with a bit of help.
And Team AI, well, their brains were the quietest of all. They had the weakest brain connectivity by far. It's a textbook example of something called cognitive offloading. Basically, their brains were letting the AI do all the heavy lifting. They'd outsourced the workout to the machine.
Okay, and this is where it all comes together. This brings us to that big twist in the final session. What happens when that handy machine you've been leaning on suddenly disappears? Well, it's time to pay what the researchers call the cognitive debt.
So for this last round, the researchers flipped the script. They took ChatGPT away from Team AI, cold turkey. Now they had to rely on their own brains, the very muscle they hadn't really been using. Meanwhile, they gave Team Brain access to the AI for the first time. And the results? They were crystal clear. The former AI users, now on their own, struggled badly. Look at that. 78% of them had trouble quoting from their new essay. But the original Team Brain, the ones who'd been training for 3 sessions, they flourished. Even when handed a new tool, a whopping 78% of them could recall a correct quote.
And this is that idea of cognitive debt. It's exactly what it sounds like. Every time we offload a mental task, we're deferring the effort. It's easier now, but the cost is that we might be weakening our own ability to do that task down the road. And eventually, that bill comes due.
So let's zoom out. What's the big lesson here? What does this all mean for you and me, for how we actually use these incredibly powerful tools in our day-to-day lives?
It really all boils down to a fundamental trade-off: convenience versus cognition. Using AI makes things easier right now, but it might come at the expense of actually learning and remembering. The brain scans prove it. Our brains literally adapt and do less work when a machine is doing the heavy lifting. Now, this isn't some warning to just throw away AI. It's more of a call to be mindful.
The key is balance. We need to know when to let the AI help and when to intentionally pick the harder path to give our own brains the workout they need to stay strong.
I want to leave you with this quote from Frank Herbert's Dune, which he wrote all the way back in 1965. It's kind of wild how relevant it feels today. It's just a powerful reminder that the very tools we build to set ourselves free also have the power to shape us in ways we never intended. Definitely something to think about.